found her body buried in her own bed 9 days after she went missing. How far would you go to find your own child? In 2010, a huge rescue mission started in Mexico City. They were trying to find this missing young girl that was only 4 years old, just to find out 9 days later that she was buried in her own bed. Hello guys, how are you today? I'm Paulette and welcome to the very first video of Spooky Abby. And obviously, you can call me Abby. From now on, every Thursday, we're gonna have a long video and we're gonna have shorts every single day. So it's gonna be a lot of content for you guys. So if you like true crime, conspiracy theories, supernatural, spooky, creepy shit, you're in the right place. Don't forget to already give you a like, share with your friends, follow, so you're gonna help me to get like more and more excited to make more and more videos for you guys. If cases involve children triggers you somehow, I would suggest for you to skip this video. But if you do have this stomach, let's go to this story. Paulette Gebarra Farrah was born on July 20th of 2005 in Mexico City. She lived with her parents, Lisette and Mauricio, and her 3 years older sister, also called Lisette. So to make this less confusing, I'm gonna call the mother Lisette and the sister Lisette Jr. Paulette was just 4 years old when she went missing from her bedroom on March 22nd of 2010. And it was really weird because she suffered from certain disabilities. She had motor and language problems, barriers, disabilities. So she couldn't actually just like go out by herself or go too far with any other person helping her out. Lisette was a lawyer and Mauricio, she worked in real estate. So they make like a lot of money, which was extremely good in their conditions considering the disability of their daughter. So they could afford hiring 2 babysitters to take care of the 2 kids, Paulette and Lisette Jr. But also with that, to be able to afford all of that, they required a long time working out of the home. When Paulette was born, the doctors weren't sure if she was actually going to survive. She was so tiny, so fragile. But the baby was a fighter and she survived, but with language and motor disability. Besides the daily struggle, she also had to sleep with this oxygen machine that would help also to keep her mouth shut, so she would breathe only through the nose. And this is a very important thing to remember, and we're gonna get there soon. Paulette used to go to school like every other kid, but obviously she needed a special attention from the teachers because she had extremely difficulty to complete the most simple tasks. One weekend, Paulette, Mauricio, her father, and Lisette Jr. went to a weekend trip to this place called Valley de Bravo. They spent the whole weekend together, just having fun in family. And no, Lisette, the mother, she wasn't there. She went to this other weekend vacation with her friend called Amanda. Everyone came back from their trip on Sunday, March 21st. Accordingly to what was said, they arrived home around 9 p.m. Lisette says she remembering putting the 2 daughters to bed, to sleep, giving a kiss in their forehead, and covering their tuckling a little bit. Before going to bed herself, she and her husband had a little talk about everything that happened in both of the vacations. Just something usual for a couple, right? The next morning, March 22nd, the 2 babysitters arrived home. Their names were Erica and Marta. They woke up Lisette Jr. They prepared her to school. They took her to the bus stop. There was right in front of the condo. They waited so she got inside the bus, and then they went back to the apartment to wake up Paulette so they could prepare her to go to school. Once Lisette Jr.'s classes started a little before, so like they always let her sleep a little bit more while they were taking care of Lisette Jr. According to the babysitters, they arrived inside the apartment again around 8 in the morning. And imagine what a surprise, what a shock when they got into the bedroom and Paulette wasn't there. She vanished. And remember, she was disabled, so they didn't got so concerned at the beginning because she couldn't have gone too far, right? The two babysitters started searching in every bedroom, in the kitchen, the bathrooms, in the closets, everywhere, and no sign of the little girl. They ran downstairs, ran through the elevators, talked to some people that work at the building. Nobody had seen the girl. Then they said, okay, I think it's time to get worried. Let's call the parents. They called the parents, and what a surprise. They didn't seem that worried about it at the beginning. They didn't show no emotion, no scare, no commotion whatsoever. I can only imagine if it was my daughter, I would get nuts. Anywho, cops and forensics were called and they started the search everywhere. They went through the whole apartment 5 times. There was no sign of forced entry, there was no sign of struggle, nothing like that. As far as it looked like, Paulette had just vanished from Earth. Another really interesting fact is that the family had a couple dogs and nobody heard the dogs barking. So whoever abducted the girl was somebody that was known from the dogs. So obviously known from the family, from the household. Very soon, the disappearance of this rich 4-year-old little girl was all over the media. TV, radio, advertisement companies. Everybody was talking about Paulette's disappearance. And not long after, Antonio Basbas, district attorney and police officer, decided to take the case for himself. All of this attention from the media and all of this commotion from the district attorney to the prosecutor to just go there and take care of the case for himself led a lot of the population really upset because so many other kids went missing on a daily basis and nobody cared. Why her? Just because she had parents that were rich, that had some influence? Were people trying to get involved to get something from it? Anyways, not long after, you could find Paulette's posters everywhere, and the family was always doing interviews, talking to the media, talking to the cops. And again, it was so weird because, again, no emotion, and felt like everybody else was so much more worried than the parents, the babysitters, the cops, the population in general. And there was one thing that Lisette said, that honestly, if there is not a sociopath, to say the least, I don't know what that mother was. She literally said that maybe Harry Potter or aliens abducted her daughter, and that was okay if she lost one of the daughters, or if she died, because she had another one. Whose mother say that? Can you even call this human mother? The case kept going more and more strange because there was no calls asking for rescue money, asking for something, blackmailing, nothing. Everything was just quiet, no clues whatsoever. Lisette even said in an interview, hey, please, we can give you some money. Just leave our daughter in a park or anywhere really, and we're gonna give you the money so we can have our daughter back. Nothing. Not a single call. Not a fog sign. Not a mail. Nothing. So odd. Another forensics team decided to go to the apartment to do another kind of search. And guess what? They found this huge blood stain the size of an adult's head on the bed. How nobody saw that before? And with that, they said, okay, this is not anymore a case of a missing person. This is a crime scene. But imagine this. At that point, so many people went in and out all the time from that bedroom, from parents to babysitters, through the media, and the crime scene was completely contaminated. For anybody that likes true crime knows that you cannot touch the crime scene until the forensic team come and swipe it off. When you do contaminate a crime scene, it can be extremely hard, if not impossible, to solve a crime. The last interview that Lisette gave to the TV, she gave sitting on her bed, on Paulette's bed. showing her little tiny clothes. And this is gonna be really important right now, and I'm gonna say why. This last interview was given on March 27th. On March 31st, 2010, after Paulette's bedroom has been searched for multiple forensic teams several times, after rescue dogs were used for living and non-living bodies, after Amanda, Lizette's friends, slept in her bed, in Paulette's bed. So the sheet was being changed every single day by the babysitters. After all of that, Paulette's body was discovered, buried between the mattress and the foot of the bed. The body was discovered wrapped in sheets, and it was just spotted there because of the smell of putrefaction, which means the body was already in decomposition. The forensics that spotted the body said that it couldn't be there for longer than 3 days. And now I'm gonna give a little stop here to make a parenthesis. Let's talk a little bit about the decomposition of the human body. In a period between 12 and 14 hours after death, the body's bacteria starts eating the proteins of the body, and this process releases gases like methane, like cadaverine and putrescine, all elements that has a really bad odor that attracts flies. So it's really hard to be just contained by being rolled up in shit. That's a no. At the first stages of decomposition, at the moment where the blood circulation stops, our cells starts receiving new components and nutrients from the plasma. That fucks up the body nutrition. The second stage is the putrefaction. The body starts getting swollen more and more because of the bacteria processing all the proteins, and the gases just accumulating inside the body. So a lot of parts from the inside starts rupturing. It starts breaking, disrupting. This stage varies between 25 and 48 hours after the death of the body. In the dark putrefaction state, that is in between also the 25th and 48th hour, a huge amount of worms start eating the body, which also causes a nasty odor that just contaminates all the place and impregnates it. I won't even go further in other stages because at this point, already doesn't add up. Already doesn't make sense that her body took 9 days to be found, especially after forensics said that it should be there for maximum 3 days. So considering all of that is already weird enough that nobody smelled the body before. And the dogs were there. Considering that the dogs, they have over 300 million olfactory sensors in their noses, olfactory receptors, and we human beings only have about 6 million. How did the dogs do not find the body? It doesn't make sense. The cops tried to say that the sheets that were covering and rolling up the body was the reason why nobody felt the smell before, but that's impossible. The obvious fact for me and for a lot of other people is that somebody killed Paulette, hid the body, and then planted the body there after a while, and it was found. But the cops tried to set it and solve the case as a tragic accident. Like, for example, if she was sleeping and maybe she got like stuck in that oxygen machine that she used, and then she got wrapped in the sheets and she died suffocated. Hey, Cara, now, I'm here. Explain us something. What about the huge blood stain and the bruises? Yes, bruises and marks found in Paulette's body. Yes, it wasn't only the blood stain. Wait, they found when they recovered the body, even in the composition of the poor girl, they could realize that she was physically abused. She had marks all over her little body. The reconstruction of the scene by the forensics was really sketchy. It was like they were just doing a whole theater to prove that the death was accidental. Like the cameras were in certain positions, the people were saying certain stuff, and they didn't care about the blood stain or the body marks that was just released later on to the media and to the general population. And also, this specific team that was doing the reconstruction, they also were emotionless. It was just like, this case is just like so full of bullshit that is not even funny. So yeah, most people think that this reconstruction was 100% staged. The parents, they were changing what happened over the weekend over and over again. And they started actually to get against each other along of the investigation when they started being invited for questioning as suspects. The babysitters were always gathered for questioning and considered suspects, but it was overruled. Nothing happened. They didn't think they were guilty of anything. And just for the record, all these interviews with the possible suspects occurred because this case got such a huge proportion, like national proportion, that there was a leak of the blood stain and the body marks, because after this was leaked to the press, they said, oh, wait a second, this wasn't just an accident. So the cops had to show some, oh, we care, something like that. They had to show that they actually were investigating and doing some work. And baby, the cherry of the cake was an audio leaked in a conversation between Lisette and Lisette Jr., where Lisette asked the daughter to not say anything about what happened that weekend, because if she did, they were going to take her parents away. And she obviously didn't want that. Why would you ask your daughter to do that? To remain silent, suspicious. At first, Lisette denied the existence of this audio. She said that it was something fake, but then after the release of it to the media, she couldn't deny it anymore. So she decided to say that, yes, she had that conversation, but it was taken out of context. Amanda, Lisette's friend, was also considered a suspect, but literally a minimum period of time, especially because she even released a book afterwards talking about the inconsistencies of the investigation on Paulette's case, on Paulette's death. And there is another thing that was discovered with all this fuss. Remember that Paulette, her sister, and her father went traveling while theoretically Lisette, the mother, was in a trip with Amanda. There was a cover-up. Actually, Lisette was cheating on her husband. Their marriage wasn't good anymore. So that's why also their fight, they tried to put the guilt on each other. They were trying to eat each other's alive. While I was doing my research for this script, I thought with myself, why this lover that Lisette was having an affair with was never called for interrogation? Just saying. Other than that, could Lisette being articulating the death of her daughter so she could be free to live this romance and to put the guilt on the father so she would be free of the husband, of the daughter, everything at once? Would that be a possibility? During Paulette's funeral, Mauricio didn't go. He said that if Lisette was there, he didn't want him to be in the same place. But for Christ's sake, it's your fucking kid. Just put your differences aside and just say a proper goodbye. Anyways, that's what I will do. Not everybody is the same. Everybody has their own way to grieve, and we cannot judge, right? Regardless, their marriage went downhill, and in 2014, they ended up getting a divorce. With all that being said, let's go to a few theories of what could have actually happened with Paulette. It's pretty clear for me that it looks like the parents know way more than they ever said. For me, they look guilty, and feels like they paid media, forensics, cops, everything to avoid further investigation to actually find who was really guilty so they would get away with murder. And they actually did. The first theory is Lisette, the mother, was guilty. She was always seen as a competent and hard worker woman, but also really strategic and cold. And we all could see during the interviews how cold, emotionless she was. So maybe she was actually sick and tired of taking care of a disabled kid, and she just wanted to get rid of the kid, of the husband, everything at once. The second theory is that Paulette could have arrived from the trip over the weekend already dead. And because the district attorney was close friends with Mauricio, he helped to cover up whatever happened, the accident. Because it could have happened that maybe Paulette was being a little annoyed during the trip coming back. The father got a little pissed off and ended up beating her up, which explains the marks and even like this blood stain afterwards in the bed. And without wanting to kill, he killed her. The third theory is that actually the parents were trying to simulate a kidnapping. Apparently they weren't making as much money as they used before, and they didn't want to live the way they used to live. So what they did was they hid her, I don't know, maybe in a air tube or something like that, and they weren't expecting the case to take the proportions that it did, especially with the whole media like going national. Then the time just kept going by, and because she was disabled and she needed certain kind of care, she ended up dying there. They rolled her up in the sheets and they just like placed her body between the mattress and the foot of the bed afterwards, because they didn't know what to do. But they just wanted to simulate a kidnapping so they could get the money of the rescue and keep it to themselves. The fact that the prosecutor also was friends with the family, so like, you know, important family, rich family, connections help you to get away with murder. The fourth theory would be blaming the babysitters, but this was discarded from the get-go. They really cared a lot about the little girl. If they were lying about something, it's to cover up for their employees, which goes back to the parents. The last theory is that Lisette Jr. actually killed her sister. This theory is based in the fact that Paulette needed a lot of attention. And maybe Lisette was just jealous about it because she didn't receive as many attentions from the babysitters, from the parents. The amount of money spent on Paulette was way bigger than on her. Maybe Paulette heard her parents arguing after the trip. She got upset. She went to her sister's bedroom crying, and her sister tried to shut her up and accidentally end up killing her. And then the whole family, the parents and the babysitters, everybody tried to cover up for Lisette Jr. not to need to pay with anything, not be responsible for her death, and be considered a criminal being so young and have basically her whole life ahead screwed because of this tragedy. It is a bizarre theory, but accidents happen. But even in accidents, things should be handled differently. But do you think it ended right there? You're wrong. You're so wrong. In 2010, this video came on the internet and went viral. In this video, Lisette is holding these little pajamas, talking about Paulette, and actually it's the same pajamas that Paulette's body was found wrapped into the sheets. The excuse for that is that actually there were twin pajamas, so both sister has the same pajamas and she was just like showing off, but I don't know. Until nowadays, this case remains unsolved. Personally, me, Avla, I think that, yes, as I said before, the parents know way more than they're saying. And I really wish that the little kid, the little girl, had the justice that she deserved. Well, if you don't mind accents, if you like a Brazilian accent, because that's me, baby. If you like accents, if you like supernatural, true crime, everything, don't forget to subscribe, give you a like. Comment down below, what do you think? Which theory do you think is more accurate? And don't worry, next week we come from more. We come for way more. From and for more. Thank you so much for staying here with me for all this video. A huge kiss.